Hey everybody, before I start the show today, I want to remind everyone that we are currently doing a fundraiser to benefit the Pets and Vets program. If you haven't already and you can afford to, please go over and support Pets and Vets by purchasing one of the items that's listed on the website over at tympistolproject.com. When you go over there, you'll see that there's two mugs, a 12 ounce and a 15 ounce. They are a memorial mug to Mavis, my bulldog that we lost several months ago. It's the Tacticool Bullpup mugs. Get yourself one of those and support Pets and Vets, or get yourself one of the Maganettes we have over there. The Kool-Aid, or actually Glock-Aid, remember, don't say Kool-Aid, say Glock-Aid, because we got in trouble last time. The Glock-Aid Maganettes over there, if you want one of those. So go over, purchase something, help the Pets and Vets program. I want to thank everyone that's already participated, and for those of you that are going to participate, I'll go ahead and thank you in advance. Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today I want to talk about a topic that was brought up to me by several of my viewers many times over the last month or so, and it is the topic of the IRS getting all this funding to form a massive armed force to enforce the laws on the middle class, the tax laws on the middle class. They're hiring a record number of agents to where they're going to be going after all of us, trying to get more money out of us, especially the middle class. And they're also hiring a huge number of armed agents to enforce their will. And a lot of gun channels have been talking about this, and they've been making it sound very nefarious and that we should be very scared. And I wanted to take a look at it, but I wanted to actually be informed before I talked about it. So I had to take some time to read the bill, to read the funding grant, all this other stuff. And believe me, it's boring as can be, so it took me a while. But I want to address some of the issues because there are some things we should pay attention to. There's some things that probably we don't really need to worry about, but we should still pay attention. So I wanted to look it over and I wanted to see what I thought. Well, as far as the IRS expanding massively, becoming a giant juggernaut of a government agency that we've never seen before, that's just not true. I looked at the funding they're getting, how many new agents they want to hire, and how many agents are retiring. Turns out most of what they're doing is just going to replace retiring agents. They have not had funding in their budget in the past to replace the people that are leaving. They needed funding for that because the funding they have is tied to those employees. Once they are paid out, once they retire and they get their retirement, well, that funding goes away. So, or it's tied to that person. So basically that number of people. So they need new funding for new agents. And that's what most of this will do. It'll hire people to replace the people that are retiring. I was also going to look at the number of people that quit, but no one quits cushy agent jobs, government jobs. So it really just, most of the people are replacing people that are quitting. So that part's true. Now they are increasing the size of the workforce at the IRS. It is getting bigger, but is it getting massive? No. In fact, it's not even getting as big as it was back before Reagan. You got to remember, since the Reagan administration, they've been slashing the IRS. And you might ask, why have they been slashing the IRS? Is it to save us, the taxpayer, the middle class? No, it's to protect rich people. Because here's the thing, when there's fewer agents to enforce the rules, people who don't have to abide by the rules get away with a lot of stuff. You and I, we get a paycheck. We get paid. That's how we make our living. And the government takes their money out of that up front. There's not much we can do to prevent it. I mean, we can do some things to try to create deductions, etc., and have it taken out less than at the beginning. But still, overall, we're going to pay our dues because we kind of have to. Rich people, however, they don't get money that way. It's not just handed to them in a paycheck where the government takes out money ahead of time. They amass huge piles of money from multitudes of sources, and they shift it around in ways that people never know where it's at any given time, and then they're basically trusted to pay their share of the taxes, which they don't do. And when there's no agents to enforce that, they get away with a lot more. You and I aren't pulling scams on the government. Rich people are constantly pulling scams to get out taxes. So a weak IRS benefits them. If you're going to have an IRS, the weaker it is, the more it benefits the rich people. So the fact that people are like, oh, they're going to be coming after you and me, that doesn't make sense because they're already getting you and me. We're already being screwed. So they're not going to screw us anymore because we're already getting screwed to the max as far as I'm concerned. So that doesn't make a lot of sense. Plus, when you read in the bill and in the funding information and everything that it's mainly to increase audits on people who make over $400,000 a year. I don't know about you. That's not going to affect me. It'll affect some gun channels, the ones that like to fearmonger and all this other stuff and create division. They make that kind of money, so they probably are worried about the IRS getting more money. But you and me, we probably don't need to be as far as that is concerned. I don't think our chances of getting audited is going to be any higher than it already was. I've been audited twice, but that's because I worked for myself and I had that money coming in that I didn't pay to the government beforehand. I had to be honest and give it to them after. And since I wasn't rich enough to stall them with lawyers and barricades and loopholes and shelters, they got the money from me. So with more agents, they can go after the rich people too. But so like I said, that whole thing about going after the middle class doesn't make sense. I can understand where some of these gun channels are upset because they make that kind of money. Most of us don't. The other thing is, the main thing I thought about was that I wanted to check into was they were talking about building this private army. You know, these armed IRS agents that have to be willing to shoot people. And so they even posted the listing for the job like it was something new. Well, that's always been the case. The IRS always has had that. Now, I don't like it at all. I don't like these alphabet agencies having their own standing armies. I don't like Department of Homeland Security. I don't like the ATF having an army. I don't like, the, what do you call them? The Bureau of Land Management having an army. The IRS having an army. I don't like any of that. When you add all these little private armies these government agencies have together, you'd be surprised. I mean, it's not a small army. It could take over most countries. So that is a threat to our freedom. I agree with that 100%. And I don't like that. As far as I'm concerned, if something like BLM or the IRS, especially the IRS, if they have a problem with someone who's breaking the law, they should ship that over to the FBI or the DOJ, depending on what level it is. And it should be law enforcement's job to take care of that. Same thing with BLM. If they have a problem with the way someone's doing something on public lands, they should turn that over to the FBI or local law enforcement, etc. Not running their guns blazing with their own armies. All these little alphabet agencies that no one elected, anyone that runs it was not elected, they get their own little armies. And who do they answer to? Their politician leaders and the billionaires that own them. So I don't like the little standing armies at all. But as far as, are they increasing the size of their army, making it huge? Not really. Once again, mostly retirees. It's a job that's already existed. They're mostly, like I said, replacing retirees. And they are increasing it a small bit, pretty much in scale, not quite in scale with the amount they're increasing the number of other agents. So you would expect if they have more cases, they're going to need more enforcement agents, if you accept the fact that they have enforcement agents. So nothing really nefarious there. Now, should we be worried about this? Well, yeah, of course we should be. If you're a citizen, you should be worried anytime the government is funding one of these big alphabet agencies. You should be watching, making sure they're doing what they're supposed to do and not what they're not supposed to do. Are they really just going to audit people over $400,000? If they do, that's fine. If they start using that money to try to squeeze more blood out of the stones of us in the middle class, well, then that's not fine. And we should be outraged. But as far as just this funding bill alone, no, it's not really making a massive organization. It's not increasing their power any. It's not really increasing their firepower any either. It really is just trying to bring an agency back up to the level it used to be back when rich people actually paid taxes. That's basically what it is. Of course, the powers that be have every vested interest in making us think it's something different, because the rich people who own them don't want to pay taxes. And just like some of the gun channels on YouTube make a lot of money and they don't want to pay the taxes. And they also benefit off fear and division. Boo, everybody be scared and dissatisfied because you're easy to manipulate that way. That's generally what they do. So I can understand why they're being like, oh my God, our hats are on fire because of this funding bill. But overall, when you look at it and you look at the facts, it's just not much of anything. And that's one of the things we need to start doing when we get upset about things is let's learn what's going on first before we get real upset. Because that level of upset is what makes us so easy to manipulate. When you're happy, content, knowledgeable, and introspective, all those things, you're hard to manipulate. When you're scared and you're dissatisfied and you're sad, you're easy to manipulate. So that's why they try to maintain that on every little topic. This topic doesn't rate that as far as I'm concerned. Beyond the fact that these little, like I said, private armies exist for all these agencies, that I don't like, that should go away. But that's the reality we live in right now. As far as this bill changing the reality we live in, it's not changing it for the worse any. It definitely doesn't change it for the better, unless you're someone who wants the rich to pay taxes. But as far as, oh, this is a threat to us, it's a threat to our freedom, I just don't see it. This is more of a threat to rich people who don't want to pay their taxes. All right, everybody, that's our show for today. It went kind of long because it was kind of a complicated topic. But I want to thank everyone that sat through it, which I'm sure is not many of you, for being here. And I hope to see you again tomorrow. Until then, I just want to remind everyone out there to always carry and stay safe until I see you again.